over to the leader, take some questions, but we've heard, and many of you have reported already, this Hate America rally that they have coming up for October 18th, the Antifa crowd and the pro-Hamas crowd and the Marxists, they're all going to gather on the mall. We got some House Democrats selling T-shirts for this event. It is an outrageous gathering for outrageous purposes, but the Democrats in the Senate have shown that they're afraid of that crowd, that they don't want to bow, they want to bow to them, bow the knee to them, and they don't want to take incoming from them. And so they're willing to hold the American people hostage so that they don't have to face.
Okay. I've heard enough. This is outrageous. It is outrageous that a man who will not shut the fuck up about how he and Jesus Christ are BFFs can get on television and just brazenly lie like that. The epicenter, the heartbeat of American democracy is protest, specifically at the mall in Washington. For him to say that it is a hate rally, for him to say that it is a pro-Hamas rally, for him to call half of Americans, and I would even argue it's more than half, I think it's probably 70% of Americans that oppose him, oppose his boss, Kanks. For him to call everybody haters is unreal. I would advise Pipsqueak Moses Mike Johnson to just do a little gander at Truth Social and look at Donald Trump's posts, because there's nothing more hateful, nothing more dishonest, nothing more anti-American than the president of the United States. And Moses Mike Johnson is the worst Speaker of the House. He is not only that, he's a terrible human being. Yeah. He is an absolute disgrace, not only to our country, but to our species. He's not a beta male. He is a zeta male. This guy is a bottom feeder, grifter, opportunist that exploits people of faith and lures them in. And then he fucks them every chance he can get, while he's also fucking the Constitution. And then later that night, he's on Grindr fucking some guy that during the day he's saying is a sinner going to hell and he wants to take rights away from.
I don't think there's ever been a more vocal hypocrite that stands for everything about evil. Like when I think of evil and meanness and cruelty, Mike Johnson's face hits to my face. And the projection is crazy, because January 6th, he thought that was a dust up. And he says that this protest is a hate rally and Democrats are scared. No, we're energized to protest against you, Mike Johnson. And I just want to remind everybody, because I always do, the reason he's so comfortable protecting pedophiles, his mentor in the College of Law, which he would have been dean, was a sexual predator with the Southern Baptist Convention, and Mike Johnson covered it up then. He's able to do it now.
All right. One thing that we haven't spent enough time on is browbeating the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune. And this guy is really, he tries to kind of be out of the spotlight because he knows if he's on camera, he would have to defend what Trump's doing. So he kind of is just staying back. But he did do an interview or a speech this weekend and was questioned by the press. Play the clip.
Supermajority requirement is something that...
Pause it real quick. No offense to short men, but look at the height disparity. Little pipsqueak Moses Mike. Okay, play the clip.
And honestly, if we had done that, there's a whole lot of bad things that could have been done by the other side. The 60 vote threshold has protected this country, and frankly, that's what I think this last election was largely about, because if the Democrats had won the majority, they probably would have tried to nuke the filibuster. And then you'd have 4 new United States senators from Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia. You'd have a PAC Supreme Court. You'd have abortion on demand.
Right there, stop.
I rock like pebble, jump in your sheet, you hear this beat, coming like heavy metal. If you got a business, bro.
God, baby precious, across the United States, American people are marching under one strong message: no kings. But what does that really mean? It is not about royalty. The No King protest is crying against leaders acting mature in so-called democracy. Protest holding. Those people are tired. I mean, they are tired of the same old politicians making rules for themselves, while ordinary Americans struggling to afford food, rent, and healthcare, pay school fees. Parents are finding it difficult, yet they are saying enough to corporation, enough to greedy, and enough to leaders who think they are above the law. Don't you be afraid of anybody. Speak out the truth. So let's be clear. The USA was built on the idea of freedom, not leadership. But look around today. Millionaires by elections and politicians act like they own the country. That is not democracy. This is modern macho, straight up and suit. And yet, instead of listening to the system, send out police and tear gas. They try to silence people instead of hearing them. That is not that. Those same thing kings did to their people countries ago.
More than 5 million Americans turned out in small towns and big cities all across the country for those No Kings protests against the Trump administration back in June. That No Kings Day protest, that one day in June, is considered to be one of the 3 largest days of peaceful protest ever in U.S. history. There were so many demonstrations on No Kings Day in June that when we covered them here on this show the following day, we had to show them in batches of 20. To even scratch the surface of how many of them there were. Well, now the second No Kings Day is just around the corner. It's this Saturday, October 18th. And the organizing effort around it so far indicates that it might be even bigger this time around. In June, for those huge protests, they got like 2,100 different protests. This time for Saturday, organizers are expecting more than 2,500.
I have a problem with them calling a protest that hasn't even happened yet violent and hate-filled. And you should too. And if you don't have a problem with that, we fundamentally have different understandings of what being an American is, or what living in the United States actually is. I know it takes a cult mentality and a weak, persuadable mind to be able to do this to somebody, but imagine what it would feel like if the government were to successfully convince you that a certain group of people in this country, because of their political affiliation, was a domestic terrorist, operating under the umbrella of a domestic terrorist organization. Would you continue wanting to call them, text them, invite them over for the holidays, especially if you were afraid that the government was going to come after you because you were affiliated with a domestic terrorist? Especially with people that live and function under a fear-based system, which is basically the entire MAGA Republican Party. They're going to fear the repercussions of what would happen to them if somebody were to find out that they were still friends or associates or family with a domestic terrorist. They might even be feeling a calling or a sense of urgency at this point to want to turn you in. Maybe send an anonymous letter to the FBI that you're posting stuff that's anti-Trump and anti-American and anti-capitalist and anti-Christian. And that's honestly giving them maybe too much credit. Maybe it's not fear. Maybe it's an overinflated sense of misplaced justice and vindication that they feel on behalf of the regime in charge. Donald Trump points his finger at the camera and says, every Democrat is an enemy within. They are going to believe it. The right has completely different ideas of what makes a good leader and a bad leader, but in my opinion, no good leader has ever existed that has torn families apart, ideologically or physically. He is tearing not just immigrant families apart, but he's tearing apart families that have been here for generations, families of mixed political opinion. This is something that I don't think any good leader would facilitate. The divide in this country is deep, and I don't know if it's ever going to heal because the veil's been lifted. Where is there to go back to? And I'm supposed to believe that when a Democrat president takes over and rights the wrongs of the Trump administration, that everything's going to go back to normal? Don't sit there and tell me that I shouldn't feel the way that I feel about MAGA and the Trump administration when all they've done is call me a domestic terrorist this entire time.
No Kings protests are going to be all over this weekend, including some in the Cincinnati area. What's really wild about this is it's just like a swing and a miss, like no Kings. No kidding. Who's the king? Who's acting like a king? Nobody's acting like a king. If Trump was the king, he would ban Congress and start acting like one. Somebody once did that and lost his head in England.
We have some major news right now ahead of No King's Day 2.0 this week, and organizers are expecting this to be one of the largest protests in American history. And folks around the White House and Republicans on Capitol Hill, where they're getting more nervous because we're now expecting over 10 million people, according to organizers, to show up across the world. More than 2,000 protests have been planned in every single state around the United States in what is shaping up to be a top 3, top 4 protests in terms of turnout in American history. It comes as we're now in week 3 of a government shutdown. And while there is increasing pressure on the White House to do something to change that, because today is the first day that federal workers missed a paycheck. Now, I bet you many of these federal workers that are furloughed will be at some of these No King's Day 2.0 protests. And there is nervousness among those in the White House, among those on Capitol Hill. It's why they're comparing protesters to paid agitators, to Antifa and more. So pretty big news. I'll be covering the Washington, D.C. one live for you. So subscribe to my Substack at the link in my bio to support my work. Follow along for more.
Baby, would you take a look at this map? I pulled this map off of the No Kings website. As many of you know, Saturday, October the 18th, there will be the No Kings protests all over the U.S. I assume maybe some outside of the U.S. as well. And from what I'm hearing, the Republicans are not feeling too good about this. They have some major concerns. And when I looked at this map, I said, well, dang, I would have some concerns too, because this will be millions of people that are protesting against him. And yeah, I'm still saying that he didn't win. I don't care what no one says. But to have this many events going on, I'm sure it's going to be a record amount of people that are out there that are going to be protesting. I can't wait to see it.
Had it with these people. They're playing games with real people's lives. The theory we have right now, they have a Hate America rally that's scheduled for October 18th on the National Mall. It's all the pro-Hamas wing and the Antifa people. They're all coming out. Some of the House Democrats are selling T-shirts for the event. And it's being told to us that they won't be able to reopen the government until after that rally because they can't face their rabid base. I mean, this is serious business.
Talking about I've had it with the Democrats. Like, you guys have all 3 branches of government. The Democrats are simply trying to get some subsidies extended and to try and repeal some of the damage he did in the big ugly bill. Democrats have to stick to this issue. They only have so much fucking leverage. Oh, a shutdown. Oh, you guys act like this is the first time a shutdown has been used as leverage politically for either party to get what the fuck they want. Honestly, you guys, I still think this is a distraction. I still think that they would rather talk about, yes, this is healthcare. That's why we're shut down. This is all about healthcare. Release the files.
You know, they say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. What am I talking about? Well, I'll tell you. The folks that put on the No Kings protest decided, hey, that wasn't a big enough waste of time. Let's do it again. And to that they are on October 18th. Yes, if you want to go stand in traffic and just scream into the void, good news! There's probably a No Kings protest somewhere near you. You may be thinking, Allison, I thought they already had a No Kings protest earlier in this year, and you would be right, except for the fact that these losers have managed to somehow convince a bunch of people to do it again and protest having a king that we still don't have, nor will we ever. Yes, this completely inorganic protest is brought to you by the following. You may recognize some of these, such as Indivisible, the Soros-backed group that did the Tesla takedowns that resulted in millions of dollars worth of damage. Also, Planned Parenthood's going to throw some money behind that. I do find it insane that groups that receive government grants and taxpayer money are going to throw their money behind a No Kings protest that makes sense to literally no one. Oh yeah, if you want to spend the third Saturday of October going out and marching around in the streets and just screaming about nothing, go ahead. I won't be doing that. I am going to be watching the University of Tennessee Volunteers take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. So just make sure there's no traffic.
The movement is not just, it's a warning. People are awake. No more kings. No more rooks pretending to care about them while they don't. America needs justice, not injustice. Not even a Trump. So the No King protest is not just about policies. It's about equality, freedom, and power returning to the people. Yeah, the people need freedom. Representative supports democracy, works rights, and options. Contradictions, political or corporate powers. So guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this my video. I will keep you guys updated. See you in my next video.